Good early morning, everybody. AG announces Netanyahu to stand trial for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust. Vanderbilt's decision is legal bombshell, marks the first time in Israel's history that a serving prime minister faces criminal charges. Netanyahu says he won't quit, will keep leading Israel. In a decision that drastically shakes up Israeli politics amid already ongoing chaos, Attorney General Avicii Mandelblit announced Thursday that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be charged with criminal wrongdoing in 3 separate cases against him, including bribery and the far-reaching Bezek corruption probe. The decision marks the first time in Israel's history that a serving prime minister faces criminal charges, casting a heavy shadow over Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving prime minister, and his ongoing attempts to remain in power. According to the full indictment released by the Justice Military, Netanyahu will be charged with fraud and breach of trust in cases 1,000 and 2,000, and robbery and fraud and breach of trust in case 4,000, the state prosecution said in a statement. Netanyahu said later Thursday he was the victim of an attempted coup. He said he would not resign but would rather continue to lead Israel in accordance with the law. Mandelblit is expected to formally inform Knesset Speaker Yuli Edelstein about his decision to indict the Prime Minister in the coming days. From that moment on, Netanyahu has 30 days to decide whether he wants to ask for Knesset for parliamentary immunity. The fact that the Knesset House Committee, and I don't know if I'm saying that right, Knesset, but anyway, which handles immunity matters, is not currently functioning, implicates the process, and it is not immediately clear how Israel's political deadlock will affect the process by which a state prosecution would otherwise move formally filing the charges in the Jerusalem District Court. Mandelblit addressed the press in his office in the Justice Ministry in Jerusalem at 7:30 p.m. to formally announce the charges. He called the decision a difficult and sad day and said his ruling was made with a heavy heart but also with a whole heart. In the Prime Minister's affairs, I found that there was evidence pointing to grave actions allegedly being committed, which carry a reasonable likelihood of conviction, Mandelblit said. For this reason, it is my duty by law to indict. It is not a choice, it is an obligation. Thus, it is the case of any citizen, and thus I acted here. Law enforcement isn't optional. It's not a question of politics. Excuse me. It's a duty incumbent upon us. We were not swayed by slander from all sides and acted only to enforce the law, he said, referring to criticism from Netanyahu supporters who have accused prosecutors of conducting a witch hunt to unseat the prime minister. He called the accusations and many lies made about the prosecution dangerous and said that propagators of such claims were playing with fire. It must stop. I call on everyone, and first and foremost, the leaders of the state. You must distance yourself from discourse that threatens law enforcement officials. We're not infallible or above criticism, but we acted without fear or prejudice for the rule of law. Mandelblit stressed that Netanyahu remained innocent until proven guilty. Netanyahu's Likud called on party activists to rally outside the Prime Minister's Jerusalem residence to express their support for him Thursday night. Netanyahu was to give a statement to the media on the decision at 8:30 p.m. In October, prosecutors and the Prime Minister's legal team held several days of hearings in which Netanyahu's attorneys sought to refute the allegations against him. The state prosecution said the premier's defense had not managed to refute the charges. The attorney general's decision on the prime minister was made after a thorough and deep examination of the numerous claims raised by the prime minister's lawyers during the 4 days of hearing in early October 2019. The state prosecution statement said. All claims were examined in depth as part of a regular work process deployed over many hours in which the state's attorney's office submitted in-depth reviews of hundreds of pages relating to the claims raised at the hearing, the state prosecution statement said. Excuse me, my goodness. After all the claims After all the claims were reviewed, it was found that there was no claims that arose at the hearing to change the offenses attributed to the Prime Minister. However, some of the claims led to changes in the indictment, even if not a change in the offense clauses themselves, the statement added. The charges. According to the indictment, the Prime Minister damaged of the image of public service and public trust in it, and is suspected of abusing his position and status and knowingly taking a bribe as a public servant in exchange for actions related to your position. The Prime Minister has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing in all three cases and has alleged that the investigations against him are a witch hunt involving the left, the media, and the police relentlessly pressuring a weak attorney general. In case 1000, involving accusations that Netanyahu received gifts and benefits from billionaire benefactors, including Israeli-born Hollywood producer Armand Milchan, in exchange for favors, Vanderbilt said that he intended to charge Netanyahu with fraud and breach of trust. Ooh, Vanderbilt might come up, dead, pushing up daisies, He's messing with the wrong dude, y'all. Okay. The latter being somewhat murkily defined in offense relating to an official violating the trust the public has placed on him. Milchan is not to be charged. According to the indictment in this case, Netanyahu's damaged the image of public service and the public's trust in it, in that while serving in public positions, and foremost as Prime Minister, you maintained for years an inappropriate relationship with Milchan and Packer. This included receiving benefits connected to your public positions totaling over NIS 700,000, some $200,000, and acting in favor of business and Milchan while in severe conflict of interest. In your actions, you allegedly abused your position and status and significantly and seriously harmed the property of the public administration, the integrity of public servants, and public trust in public servants, the charge sheet read. In his 20-minute appearance on Thursday evening, Vanderbilt described a real supply line of cigars and champagne to the Netanyahus. In case 2000, involving accusations, Netanyahu agreed with Yedioth Aranth, I don't know how to say that, newspaper publishers Arnon Moses to weaken the circulation of a rival daily in return for more favorable coverage from I'm just going to call him Yedioth. There you go, Yedioth. Vanderbilt said he would seek charges the premier with fraud and breach of trust, while Moses will be charged with bribery. The case is said to have been a contentious one in Vanderbilt's office, with many prosecution officials reportedly arguing that Netanyahu should be charged with bribery, while Vanderbilt considered not charging the Prime Minister at all. The indictment said that Netanyahu and Moses recognized that the one had the ability to promote the other's interests in the run-up to the 2015 elections and discussed such possibilities. According to suspicions in your actions while performing your duties, you have committed acts that amount to breach of trust and have caused substantial harm to the integrity of the position of the public's trust. Vanderbilt noted in his comments that Netanyahu conducted corrupt discussions on a quid pro quo deal with Moses. And although he never concluded the deal and thus was not being charged with bribery in this case, the Attorney General said Netanyahu strung Moses along to try to secure beneficial coverage ahead of the then imminent elections. In case 4000, widely seen as the most serious against the premier, Netanyahu is accused of having advanced regulatory decisions that benefited Shal Elovich and the controlling shareholder in Bezek Telecom giant in exchange for positive coverage from the Elovich-owned Walla News site. In that case, Mandelblit announced he intends to charge Netanyahu and Elovich with bribery. The indictment says the relationship between Netanyahu and Elovich was based on give and take, and the Prime Minister's actions benefiting Elovich netted the businessmen benefits to the tune sum of 1.8 billion NIS, which is in US dollars 500 million. Wow. In the period 2012 through 2017, in exchange, Elovich's Walla News site published your political messages that you wished to convey to the public. You took benefits while knowing you were taking a bribe as a public servant in exchange for actions related to your position. The Prime Minister's actions, write state prosecutors, were carried out amid conflict of interest, the weighing of outside considerations relating to his own and his family's interests, and involved the corrupting of the public servants reporting him. Said Mandelblit on Thursday, Netanyahu skewed government policy in return for positive coverage from Walla to immensely benefit Elovich financially. It could, however, take months before formal charges are filed, as Netanyahu is expected to ask the Knesset for parliamentary immunity. The Knesset House Committee and Plenum would have to rule on Netanyahu's immunity, but the committee does not currently have any members, as no coalition agreement has yet been signed in the 22nd Knesset, dividing up committee seats between the parliament's factions. Only once a new coalition is formed, either over the next several weeks or failing that, after the next round of elections slated for March, can a Knesset House committee take up the question. Even if Netanyahu's immunity request is rejected, it could take until May or June for the formal decision to be made. A formal indictment could still be more than 7 months away. He could, however, be forced to immediately relinquish any ministerial portfolios under his purview. Those currently include health. The health ministry is in practice run by Deputy Health Minister Yaakov Litzman, Social Affairs, Diaspora, and Agriculture. Ehud Olmert, the country's first open premier to serve prison time, stepped down from office in 2008. The investigation into him but before the intention to file charges was announced, he served 16 months in prison on corruption offenses and was released in July 2017. And that's the end of the article. Netanyahu is in hot water. I'm loving it. I really am. Because you know he's dirty. Just like that, who come before him? I can't think of his name right now. But he was dirty too. He was in a coma for a long time, and I cannot remember his name. But anyway, I thought this was pretty big, and I got this out of the Times of Israel, and I'll leave the link in the description below. And I'm going to be putting out a video on that Moloch programming, so stay tuned for that, guys. Everybody take care. Bye.